Be ready. Start. The result of the election can be affected only on the proof that the votes polled by the candidate whose nomination paper had wrongly been accepted would have been distributed in such a manner amongst the remaining candidates that some other candidate other than the returned candidate would have polled the highest number of valid votes. In other words, the result of the election of the candidate cannot be held to have been materially affected unless it is proved that in the absence of the candidate whose nomination paper was wrongly accepted in the election contest, any other candidate other than the returned candidate would have polled the majority of valid votes. In the absence of any such proof, the result cannot be held to have been materially affected. The burden to prove this material effect is difficult, and many times it is almost impossible to produce the requisite proof. But the difficulty in proving this fact does not alter the position of law. The legislative intent is clear that unless the burden, howsoever difficult it may be, is discharged, the election cannot be declared void. The difficulty of proving the material effect was expressly noted by this court, and the court observed that the difficulty could be resolved by the legislature and not by the courts. Since then, the Act has been amended several times, but Parliament has not altered the burden of proof placed on the election petitioner under Section 101D of the Act. Therefore, the law laid in the aforesaid decisions still holds the field. It is not permissible in law to avoid the election of the returned candidate on speculations or conjectures relating to the manner in which the wasted votes would have been distributed amongst the remaining validly nominated candidates. Legislative intent is apparent that the harsh and difficult burden of proving material effect on the result of the election has to be discharged by the person challenging the election, and the courts cannot speculate on the question. In the absence of positive proof of material effect on the result of the election of the returned candidate, the election must be allowed to stand, and the court should not interfere with the election on speculation and conjectures. There are two dimensions to the above observations. The first is that the election petition had been allowed by the High Court after a full-fledged trial. It was not a case of summary dismissal of an election petition on the ground that no evidence can be produced to prove that the result of the election, insofar as the returned candidate was materially affected by improper reception of any vote, as is the position in the case at hand. The High Court, in the case at hand, failed to notice that difference and hastened to conclude that the election petition could not be tried with whatever chances the petitioner may have had to avoid the election in question. The second dimension is that although the legal position emerging from the decisions is of vintage value, it may have effect of obliterating section 101d1 and 3 of the Act. We say it with utmost respect for the judges who delivered the decisions in the two cases referred to above, that the decisions require the election petitioners to produce evidence in what would be a totally hypothetical situation, defying any attempt to show that the votes polled by a candidate whose nomination was improperly accepted would have been polled in his absence in a fashion that would have materially affected the result of the election so far as the elected candidate is concerned. So also, it would also be near impossible to satisfactorily prove in a given case that the improperly received votes would have gone to one or the other candidate. The question is whether an election petitioner can be asked to prove something that is not amenable to proof, and whether by doing so a ground that is recognized by the statute as a valid ground for declaring the election to be void can be rendered odious or sterile. What is noteworthy is that the difficulty which would arise in giving effect to section 101d1 and 3 has been noticed, but instead of finding an answer to the same, the court has left the issue to be resolved by the legislature. Such result may operate harshly upon the petitioner seeking to set aside the election on the ground of improper acceptance of a nomination paper, but neither the tribunal nor this court is concerned with the inconvenience resulting from the operation of the law. How this state of things can be remedied is a matter entirely for the legislature to consider. Thank you.